All right, strap yourselves in, folks. Today, we're going deep on Meta, like really deep. We're talking about their mega push into AI.
Oh yeah, they're not messing around.
Nope, not at all. We've got this super in-depth article, and it lays out everything. I mean, the investments, the plans, it's crazy. They're basically trying to put AI into everything they do.
It's a total transformation. They're not just, adding a few AI features here and there.
Yeah.
This is about making AI the core, the heart of their entire future.
And speaking of heart, get this. They're planning to spend something like $60 to $65 billion in 2025 just on AI infrastructure.
It's a massive statement to the whole tech world. They're saying, look, AI is the future, and we are all in. That's significantly more than what we're seeing even from Google or Microsoft.
Yeah, they are not just keeping up. They're trying to set a whole new pace.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's get into the specifics. This article, it talks about this new data center they're building in Louisiana. It's 2 gigawatts. Practically the size of Manhattan, they say. Plus, they're adding another gigawatt of compute power on top of that, and over 1.3 million GPUs. Are those the same GPUs that gamers use?
Same tech, different purpose. In this case, it's not about, making those fancy graphics for the latest games.
Right.
Think of GPUs like the engines of AI. They're what give these AI models the raw power to train and learn and run. The more complex the model, the more power you need. And Meta's building something on a scale we haven't really seen before.
So they're basically building a monster AI engine.
You could say that.
And it doesn't stop there. The article also mentions that they're designing their own, custom chips, silicon chips, specifically for AI. Why not just buy the ones that are already out there?
It's about, well, two things, really. Efficiency and cost.
Yeah.
In the long run, at least. When you're operating at the scale that Meta is, even tiny improvements in efficiency can mean huge savings.
Right. Every little bit counts.
Exactly. And custom chips let them really fine-tune their hardware, make it work perfectly with their AI algorithms. They're squeezing out every bit of performance.
So they're building this, this crazy, powerful AI engine, but it's not just for, theoretical research, right? This is stuff that's going to impact the real world.
Oh, absolutely. You probably interact with Meta's AI every day without even realizing it.
Really?
Think about the chatbot, the Meta AI chatbot. Hundreds of millions of people use that thing across all their platforms. Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, you name it.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's all the AI features in their Ray-Ban smart glasses and the MetaQuest VR headsets.
So it's not just talk. They're actually putting this AI into our digital lives. It's kind of like living in one of those sci-fi movies, but it's actually happening.
Exactly. And one of the things that's really interesting is their approach to the whole development process. They're very much into open source AI. A lot of their work is out in the open, which seems, kind of counterintuitive in the tech world where everyone is so secretive.
Yeah, it is. So what's the advantage of being so open with their AI tech? It's not just about being nice and sharing, right?
Well, there's an element of that, maybe, but it's also a very smart business strategy.
Okay, I'm listening.
By being open, they're encouraging collaboration. Researchers, developers, people outside of Meta can build on what they've done.
So it's like crowdsourcing innovation.
Yeah, exactly. It's a global effort. And it also helps them, establish standards. Set the rules of the road for how AI is developed. It's a way to influence the whole field.
Clever. But this article mentions a potential rival, this Chinese startup, DeepSeek. They're claiming to develop AI models that are just as good, but way cheaper. Doesn't that kind of undermine Meta's strategy, all this money they're spending?
It's definitely a challenge.
Oh.
But Meta's response has been to double down on what they see as their strengths, quality and the power of open collaboration.
So it's like they're saying, sure, you can build a cheap car, but we're building a Rolls-Royce.
Something like that. They're betting on the long game.
Interesting. And their goals are, they're huge. This article, it says they want their AI assistant to reach 1 billion users.
That's a lot of users. More than some entire countries.
It's mind-boggling. And that's not even their most ambitious goal. They're also chasing this holy grail of AI, right? Artificial general intelligence. AGI.
That's right. Scaling the AI assistant is one thing. There's a roadmap, clear steps. AGI is more of a vision, a long-term goal that's driving a lot of their research.
Okay, so let's break that down. What exactly is AGI? It's basically the idea of creating an AI that's as smart, as adaptable as a human being, right?
Exactly. It's not just, an AI that can beat you at chess. It's an AI that could learn any game, write a book, compose a symphony, maybe even have a real conversation about, Well, about the meaning of life.
Okay, now we're getting into some serious sci-fi territory here. AGI it's the stuff of both dreams and nightmares for a lot of people. It could revolutionize everything. But it also raises some big questions about, the future of humanity. What's our place in a world with super intelligent machines?
And those are questions that we're definitely going to explore. But first, let's shift gears a bit and take a closer look at their plans for those AI assistants. The ones they want to get into the hands of a billion people. What's the plan there? How do they make them so appealing, so indispensable that a billion people are going to want to use them?
And how do they address all the tricky issues, like privacy concerns, bias in AI systems, all of that? We're going to unpack all of that in part 2 of our deep dive into Meta's AI strategy. So last time we were talking about this crazy ambitious goal, getting their AI assistant into the hands of a billion people. That's like almost everyone on the planet with a smartphone.
It's huge. A billion users. It makes you wonder, how do they actually plan to pull that off?
Yeah, I mean, are they just counting on people already being on Facebook and Instagram and all that?
Well, that's definitely a starting point. They've got this built-in audience, right?
Yeah.
Billions of users already. But they're not just going to, drop this AI assistant into their apps and hope for the best.
So what's the plan? How do they make it, so good that people can't live without it?
Personalization. That's a big part of it. Imagine an AI that actually learns your habits, anticipates your needs. It's like having a super efficient personal assistant who's always one step ahead.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, we've all used those generic AI assistants, right? The ones that feel clunky and impersonal. Nobody wants that. You want something that feels like it gets you.
Exactly. And they're putting a lot of effort into natural language processing, NLT, making it so the AI can understand and respond to you in a way that feels natural.
So it's not just about typing commands into a computer. It's more like a real conversation.
Exactly. The goal is to make it so seamless that you almost forget you're talking to a machine.
That's pretty wild. Are there any specific ways they're improving that natural language processing?
Well, one thing they're focusing on is contextual understanding.
Yeah.
Like the AI remembering what you talked about earlier, so you don't have to explain everything again.
Oh, like if you're planning a trip and you ask it to book a flight to, say, Paris, it'll remember that you were just talking about Paris with your friend and, connect the dots.
Right. It's about making the AI smarter, more proactive. Not just understanding what you say, but also what you might need even before you ask.
Okay, now that's starting to sound impressive. But how do they actually get this tech into the hands of a billion people? Is it just going to be like an app that you download?
It's going to be multi-pronged, their approach.
Right.
Of course, they'll integrate it into their own platforms, their apps. But they're also looking at partnerships, with other companies. So you might end up interacting with Meta's AI through your smart home devices, your car, even your smartwatch.
So it's everywhere, working behind the scenes, making our lives easier. But doesn't that raise some concerns about privacy? I mean, if this AI is everywhere, learning all about us, our habits, our preferences, how can we be sure that our data is safe?
That's a huge question.
Yeah.
And it's one that Meta is very aware of. They keep talking about transparency and user control, giving people the ability to see what data the AI is collecting, how it's being used, and opt out of things if they're not comfortable.
Okay, so they're not just collecting all this data and doing whatever they want with it.
Right. And they're also building in, robust security measures to protect data from breaches and all that. And they're working on ways for the AI to learn without actually storing, your sensitive personal information on their servers.
So it's a balancing act, providing a personalized AI experience, but without compromising privacy.
Exactly. And it's one of the toughest challenges they face. But they're committed to finding solutions that put user trust first.
All of this sounds amazing from a technical standpoint, but we've all seen those sci-fi movies, right? Where the AI gets too smart and takes over. Are we just, overthinking it? Or are there real concerns about the downsides of AI getting more and more intelligent?
It's definitely something to think about. As these AI systems get more complex, more powerful, we have to think about the consequences and put safeguards in place to make sure these technologies are used responsibly.
So it's not just about building cool tech, it's about building it ethically. What are some of the specific challenges Meta is facing in that area?
One of the biggest ones is bias. AI systems are trained on massive data sets. And if those data sets reflect existing biases in the real world, well, the AI can inherit those biases.
So, if the data is mostly from one particular group of people, the AI might not understand or respond well to people from other groups.
Exactly. And that could have real consequences in hiring, loan applications, even criminal justice. So Meta's investing heavily in research to figure out how to reduce bias in their AI.
So they're not just ignoring the problem.
No, they're actively trying to solve it. Carefully choosing the data sets, developing algorithms that are less prone to bias, and exploring ways to, include human oversight in the AI's decision-making.
So it's not just letting the machines run wild. There's some human checks and balances.
Right. It's about responsibility, making sure the AI is used for good. And it's not just up to Meta. This is a conversation that needs to involve, well, everyone, the whole tech industry, policymakers, all of us.
It's a big responsibility, but it's one we can't just ignore. Okay, so we've talked about their plans for AI assistance, the challenges of building ethical AI, even their pursuit of AGI. But where does all of this put them in the bigger picture, compared to all the other companies out there doing AI?
That's a great question. And that's exactly what we're going to tackle in the final part of our deep dive. We'll be exploring the competitive landscape, how Meta stacks up against its rivals, and what it all means for the future of AI.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground in the last two parts. Meta's huge investments, their vision of AI assistance everywhere, the ethical stuff. But we can't talk about Meta and AI without talking about the competition. Google, Microsoft, even these up-and-comers like DeepSeek. It's a crowded field.
Yeah.
So how does Meta's approach stack up? And what does this whole, AI arms race mean for the future?
It is a crowded field. You've got these massive companies, tons of resources, decades of experience. And then you have these startups, nipping at their heels, trying to do things differently. It's fascinating to watch.
Yeah, it's like David and Goliath, but with AI.
It is. But it's more than just, who has the most money. Each company is taking a different approach, a different angle. That's what makes it so interesting, so unpredictable.
Okay, so let's start with the big guys. Google's been doing AI for a long time. They're really strong in natural language processing and all that. How does Meta differentiate itself from Google?
One big difference is the open source thing.
Yeah.
Meta's really pushing that. Google's done some open source stuff, sure, but Meta's gone all in.
So it's about building a community around AI, not just building it in secret.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. They're trying to create a platform where other people can build on their work. You never know what might come out of that.
It seems kind of risky, though, right? Sharing your secrets with the world when you're trying to win?
It is.
Yeah.
It's a gamble. But they're betting that the benefits, the collaboration, the faster innovation, it'll outweigh the risks. They want to democratize AI, make it accessible to everyone.
It's like a philosophical thing. It's not just about the tech. It's about how AI should be developed.
Exactly. Now, Microsoft, they're doing things a little differently. They're focusing on integrating AI into their existing products, like their cloud platform, Azure, and all their Office software.
So they're making it more practical, useful for businesses and regular people.
Exactly. They want to make AI easy to use, easy to integrate, so people come to rely on it. What about Apple? They've been pretty quiet on the AI front.
Yeah, it's hard to tell what they're up to.
Apple's always been about, the user experience and privacy. So they're probably being very careful, very deliberate with their AI, making sure it fits with their values.
They're not going to rush into anything just because everyone else is.
Nope. They'll do it their way, on their own terms. Now, these smaller companies, the DeepSeeks of the world, they're saying they can build AI just as good, but way cheaper. Is that even possible?
Yeah, are they for real?
They're doing some interesting things. They're using clever algorithms, efficient hardware, and they've got access to a lot of data. They're not afraid to experiment, to shake things up a bit.
So Meta's got a lot of competition. Big companies, small companies, all with different approaches. What does this mean for the future of AI?
It's hard to say for sure, but it's exciting. That's for sure. All this competition, it's pushing everyone to innovate, to do better. We're seeing breakthroughs happening all the time. And as AI gets more powerful, more accessible, well, it's going to touch every part of our lives.
It's a future that's, wow, a little scary, to be honest, but also kind of amazing.
It is, and that's maybe the most important thing to remember. AI isn't just something that's happening to us. It's something we're all creating together. The choices we make about how we develop AI, how we use it, they're going to shape the kind of future we have.
So it's not just about the technology. It's about our values, our ethics, our choices. Wow. That's some food for thought. And that's all the time we have for today's deep dive into Meta's big AI push. We hope you learned something. We certainly did. As always, keep asking questions, keep learning, and keep an eye on the future because AI is coming, ready or not.